गुड इवनिंग। आज मंडे का दिन है और आज आप लोग के साथ एक इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक पे मैं बात करना चाहता हूँ। सो दिस इज समथिंग वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट एंड दिस इज आई एम शेयरिंग, आई एम पुटिंग माय थॉट्स on the basis of my last 15 years of experience. So today I will talk about funding and NGOs, and there's a correlation between these two. I've worked for different grant making agencies for almost 12 years. And based on my experience with different partner organizations, different funding organizations, uh, different vendors, I'm going to share here some of the insights. आई होप ये आप लोग के लिए यूजफुल होगा। मेरा नाम है विनोद कुमार पांडे और मैं एनजीओ सेक्टर में लगभग 15 सालों से हूँ और आज आप लोग के साथ बातचीत करेंगे। बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट है कि इंडिया में 3.3 मिलियन एनजीओज हैं और ये थोड़ा पुराना डेटा है। मुझे लगता है कि यानी इट्स ऑल अबाउट लाइक 33 लाख एनजीओज रजिस्टर्ड है। आई फील कि ये दिस डेटा राइट नाउ मस्ट बी अराउंड 4 मिलियन एनजीओज के आसपास होगा ये, इंक्लूडिंग जो सोशल स्टार्टअप्स हैं, जो नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट सेक्शन 8 में रजिस्टर्ड है। So this is a huge number of NGOs, such a big number of NGOs working in India. इतने सारे NGOs, and most of these NGOs, when we look into, they are primarily implementing organization. So their core is what? Their core is implementation. Their focus is on implementing different development programs or executing different development programs. Also, as per my understanding, out of these 3.3 or 4 million NGOs, uh, around 90% of NGOs are local NGOs, locally based, run by some of the local founders, uh, involve local communities or local people to operate or to implement different development programs. So this is what a basic scenario which I have observed. Now, if you look into these are some of the thematic areas where most of these NGOs are working. One core thematic area is education, another one is health, and post COVID, I see livelihood has also become uh, major thematic areas. Apart from that, now mental health is emerging as another core area or core thematic area. Technology is also emerging, digital literacy is also emerging. But overall, these are the three thematic areas. And when disaster comes in, disaster became the focus area. And even in disaster, people look for the education, health, livelihood kind of a thing. Or also from the relief, supply of relief material. So these are thematic areas in which different NGOs are engaged. So if you see these 3.3 million NGOs, so these are the core thematic areas where they are engaged. There might be some NGOs specifically working with some very specific thematic areas, but ये जो तीन सेक्टर्स हैं, एजुकेशन, हेल्थ और लाइवलीहुड, यहाँ पे मोस्टली एनजीओज जो हैं वो engage हैं. Challenge, when I see and when I look into what all are the challenges this 3.3 million NGOs are facing. So one is that, as I said, that 90% of these organizations are primarily implementing organization. So they have one challenge that they should focus on their core, which is implementation, or they should look for the funding. When you look into some of the very smaller NGOs, बहुत जो छोटे छोटे एनजीओज हैं और इवन द मिड साइज एनजीओज, they are primarily struggling between these two, because at one side, to implement their core or to do their core, which is implementation of development programs, they need funding. The other side is funding is not their core. How to mobilize fund, how to generate resources, how to write impact social media. Those things are not their core. But without this funding, how they will implement the program? And that's the struggle which is going on. Also, they have some team members or these organizations, they have a some understanding of funding space. But in general, there's a lack of funding space understanding that who all are the donors, what kind of network is required, what kind of information need to be shared with them, किस तरह की उनको डेटा बेस्ड रिपोर्ट चाहिए, किस तरह की उनको रिपोर्ट चाहिए, किस तरह का इम्पैक्ट donors are looking into. In fact, most of these organizations are struggling with creating a database of donors. तो understanding ही नहीं. Also, there's no coordination. You will not find some kind of a coordination key. One organization which has a funding database is sharing with many other organizations. Lack of team capacity है कहीं ना कहीं. There are uh, there are people in the smaller or mid-sized NGOs. Primarily, they are program implementers. So they are very good at implementing programs. Uh, so they have a limited capacity of fundraising. They also have a lack of network, as I shared in the beginning, that most of these NGOs are local NGOs. So they have a local network, but funders are not locally based. So if somebody is in a small district of Maharashtra, or somebody is in a small district of Assam, or somebody is in a district of Bihar, but donor is sitting in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, how they will connect, how they will build up the network. So there's a lack of network also, and the most important, there's a lack of fund. They want to do so many things. They have different ideas, but there's a lack of funding to support those ideas. So these are some of the challenges I see. Whereas in terms of strength, I see that they have a very strong execution power. They understand local issues very well. Locally, very well established network. Local team members. So they they're because of this local team members, sometimes this execution becomes so powerful. And then there's a local presence. So issues are local, presence is local, team members are local. And then these programs which they develop also require less investment because local team members are there, local solutions are there. So these are the strengths of small or mid-sized NGOs. So we have seen the challenges, we have seen the strength, we have seen this larger universe of NGO sector. And then what is missing here? We need to look into, we need to think on it. When I look from my lens, when I look from my location, I see that somebody whose strength is implementation, why not they are focusing on patient part? Why they are getting into funding, why they are getting into social media, why they are getting into different report writings, which is not their core. So why not somebody is taking the charge of doing these work for these smaller or mid-sized NGOs so that they can effectively implement different development programs, which is the core of these people. So I'm just bringing some of the thoughts, and if you have any idea, any thought process, do share it. What's my objective is here that I see that if a lot of NGOs I see right now focusing on fundraising. See, after 2014, I see there's a lot of buzz about CSR funding. Uh, but if the implementing NGOs start focusing on fundraising, how how much it will if but it will have impact on the implementation of programs. Uh, Also, it will take time for implementing NGOs to understand funding space, build up, and not sure that they will be successful in it. But here I see a guarantee of successful in terms of implementation. So this is the overall buzz I see, and I thought that it's good to discuss this, good to talk about this, uh, because 3.3 million NGOs can create magic in India. Uh, if everyone start doing everything, uh, possibly there are chances of not so much of happening. So we need to think about this, that how we can make NGO sector a better sector, how we can contribute, and how implementing organization can focus on the implementation part. A recent FCRA changes where the funding directly goes to the implementation organization uh, indeed gives a scope for organizations to raise resources or to get into. But again, we need to look into how effective this process will be. Uh, so that's why I say that it's a creation process, it's a thought process. So we all being in the social sector, we need to think about it. Should we focus on our core, or should we also focus on our subsidiaries? Uh, and if we start focusing on the subsidiaries, how much the core will impact. Also, if the supporting agencies are coming to support smaller or mid-sized NGOs, how much it will cost? A lot of NGOs or the different organizations sometimes charge a huge amount for doing all this support processes. So this is another development debate which we need to do. But before that, important is to think about, uh, should we focus on a core of implementing organization, or as I said about the subsidiary of implementation organization in the NGO space. Thanks, and if you have any feedback, if you have anything to share with me, feel free to write in the comment box. Thanks a lot.